Let's take an in-depth look at how to format references in the APA citation style. The most basic format of an APA citation starts with who created the work, followed by a period. Generally, the next thing that follows is the date of the work in parentheses with no spaces, also followed by a period. This is followed by the title of the work or what the reference is citing. For print resources, this can be followed by a place of publication followed by a colon. The last thing that is generally cited is how it was produced, such as the name of the publisher or the URL, database website, or DOI of an online resource. For the reference list that appears at the end of your work, be sure to format it in the hanging indent style. This involves indenting every line of the reference except the first. For citing authors, start with the last name, a comma, then the first initials. For listing multiple authors, use an ampersand. After the sixth author's name, use an ellipses in place of the author's names, then provide the final author's name. When referring to books, articles, chapters, or web pages, capitalize only the first word of the title, as well as the first word after a colon or dash in the title. For journals, maintain the capitalization and punctuation that is used by the source. For longer works, such as books or journals, italicize the title, but for other works, simply state the title without italicizing, underlining, or adding quotations. Let's examine this template for referencing a print book. Notice the use of punctuation for the author's names. They start with the last name, comma, then the author's initials. Use a comma to separate authors and an ampersand before the final author when listing multiple authors. This is followed by the year of publication inside of parentheses, followed by a period. Next, the title of the book is italicized because it is a longer work, with only the first word capitalized as well as the first word after the colon in the title. In this instance, for a print work, the location of the publishing is cited, followed by a colon. The final information that is needed is the publisher for a print work. The next example is of a published dissertation. Again, the first thing that is cited is the author's last name followed by the initials. The year once again appears in parentheses followed by a period. After the italicized title, you should note that this is a dissertation and whether it is master's or doctoral thesis in parentheses. The next information you should cite is the database the source was retrieved from in the form of retrieved from and then the name of the database as seen in the example. If the information was retrieved through a database, include the accession or order number in parentheses at the end of the reference. This can be generally found within the first pages of the thesis text. One very common source type is a scholarly article retrieved from a library database. The first example contains the DOI information, which is preferable to the database URL. Just like with the previous examples, it begins with the author's name and publication date in parentheses. The title of the article remains unformatted, while the title of the journal is italicized and uses the capitalization and punctuation from the journal source and is followed by a comma. This is followed by an italicized volume number, a comma, and an unitalicized page range. Again, the DOI should be included where available. The second example is exactly the same, except the database URL is included rather than the DOI. This should be placed in the form of retrieved from, followed by the URL. Personal communication should not be included in a reference list. Instead, parenthetically cite the communicator's name, the phrase personal communication, and the date of your communication in the body portion of your work only. This includes interviews and emails. Here are two examples of citing personal communications parenthetically. Again, notice that the communicator's name, the phrase personal communication, and the date are included. For more information and examples, visit the online writing lab at our Purdue, as well as the publication manual for the APA Style 6th edition. You can also ask a librarian at lib.fsu.edu.